Hey, welcome back to AWE. We're now swiftly moving on to virtual beings. If you didn't have the chance to join me on alternative AR, my name is Ashton Addington. I run a company called TechNet Immersive, dedicated to talent across the globe in emerging and immersive technology. Today, and following my chat now, we're on to Armando Kirwin. He's the founder of Artie. Armando being a veteran creative technologist working in augmented and virtual reality. In 2018, he co-founded Artie, a tech startup developing AI characters. So extremely interesting topic. Before we move on and get Armando onto our virtual stage, another big thank you to our titanium sponsors being HP, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Unity Technologies, alongside our gold sponsor, Plug XR. Over to Armando.
Okay, thank you for the intro. My name is Armando Kirwin. I'm the co-founder and CTO of a company called Artie. We're based in Los Angeles. We're about 3 years old. And Artie, when we started, we were lucky enough to receive some money from Google to try and create a virtual reality experience where the player could talk to all the characters around you, and these characters would kind of lead you through a story. So we wanted to explore, how it felt to be in a virtual world where you, as a player, could use your own voice completely naturally, like you would with other human beings if you were outside. We created this project called Artie's Adventure, which began about 4 years ago. And it was a really incredible experience to kind of finally have a voice inside a virtual world. Jesse Damiani, who probably a lot of you know, wrote about it in Forbes, and he called it a powerful exploration of how immersive technologies and artificial intelligence can pair up to create increasingly human immersive experiences. So after the success of this project, we decided to focus on these technologies, but we wanted to expand upon what we learned. So one of the difficulties was that it was extremely difficult to use Google's technology in a game environment. So one of the things we did during Artie's Adventure is we made tools that integrated with Unity that made it easier for you to create these voice-powered experiences. So what I'm going to play now is a clip. It was actually created by another game developer, and he used our tool at the time, which is about 3 years ago, to create this experience. And I'm going to play it for you now.
I don't hear anybody outside yet. Do you?
No, I don't think so.
Keep your voice down. Okay. Now I'm gonna say why we had to be here so early and hide. But you have to keep it a best friend secret, okay? Will you tell me you promise?
Yes, I promise.
Okay, good.
Okay, so as you can see, the interaction is really natural and it feels really powerful and immersive. That being said, when we officially launched the company, we decided to expand beyond VR into AR. We felt that AR was a market that we were really interested in. It was a large market. It was very exciting. So if you Google Artie today, you'll see a bunch of AR, and that's because our launch was focused on that at the time. What I'm going to play for you now is an example of our same tooling and technology working in AR.
Wake up, Ashley.
Hey there, I'm Ashley too. What's your name?
My name's Ryan.
Hey, that's a great name.
Thanks.
Okay, let's get to know each other better. How old are you?
35.
I hear 30s are the new 20s.
Ugh, yeah.
So, do you want to hear a song?
Sure.
Yeah, I can take it, so don't you take it. I know your love's my destiny. Yeah.
Okay, so we felt that VR and AR were a really good fit for AI technologies, especially voice, because of how natural and intuitive the interaction was between the player or the audience and the characters inside of these games. However, over the last year and a half, we've expanded our offering even further and decided to support mobile games in general, non-AR mobile games. We just felt that it was important to do this so that we could reach, as many people as possible with our technology. We're currently in development on two really exciting titles that I can't share today, but they're partnerships with really well-known, intellectual property that is beloved around the world. So we're very excited to launch these towards the end of this year, 2020. The games aren't the focus of my presentation today. What I want to talk about is what we learned trying to make this technology. So one of the first things that we discovered is that using Google or even Amazon and Microsoft is really difficult because of a variety of issues. First of all, the technologies aren't for games. The kind of cloud services that you can access, they're primarily for, obviously smart speakers, but even from a user experience perspective, they're kind of meant for searching with your voice, kind of like, or issuing commands, saying, hey, Google, what's the weather today? Or hey, Google, set a reminder for me. So they're not set up for the type of kind of fluid, real-time and interactivity you need in the user experience for games. They're also not easy to implement in Unity or Unreal for that matter. And they're not set up to serve the kind of scale that a game can have. If you look at these cloud services today, they're primarily being used in an enterprise environment. And gaming has a completely different kind of set of issues that come with auto scaling. And finally, there are latency issues because, again, in a game engine environment, you're expecting a level of performance that is entirely different from the kind of latency that you might be okay with from a smart speaker. Furthermore, you can't really customize the models that you're using when you're working with these kind of one-size-fits-all cloud services. So this was a big issue for us. You can imagine that you're working on, say, a project with, a well-known comic book hero, and there's a ton of custom vocabulary that exists in that game world. It's really important to be able to have customization. And third, they're insanely expensive. So we found that it was essentially impossible economically to combine the cost of these cloud services with the business models that we use in games today, like freemium, for example. So as we've gone and developed our technology over the last 3 years, we've really focused on these three core problems. So what we have created is something called Artie Natural Language. It's built from the ground up for Unity. And you can see here a little simple mock-up of, a player talking to Batman. It's completely customizable for each game. And that means that if you're doing a Batman game, it can have a unique model versus, say, another character, which is really important. And in fact, you can even customize it for the types of players. So if you're making a game that's specifically for, young teenage boys, you can have a different speech model for the audience of players, in addition to the canon of the character. It's also, and this is something we're really proud of, 10 times cheaper than offerings from Google, Amazon, or Microsoft. And as a bonus, we added support for text input in addition to speech. So in some environments, if you're on your phone, it feels incredible to talk to a character, but maybe that's something you do at home. But if you're on the subway, it's really loud and you're not able to talk to Batman in that moment. So we support the keyboard, both iOS and Android, so you can interact intuitively and naturally with game characters that way. We have a couple of peer-reviewed papers that are coming out in the next few months that you can view on our website that go deeper into the technology that we've created, both on the speech recognition side of things and on the natural language understanding side of things. We also started expanding beyond natural language into vision. So another key piece of our technology stack now is Artie computer vision. This is really exciting. It's something that we've been working on for a long time. And we're really happy about kind of the idea that you could not only interact intuitively with characters using your voice inside of the game environment, that they can now see you. We think this is an important next step in the of this type of real-time engagement. So Artie computer vision supports front and back cameras. The entire package is less than 200 kilobytes. We're using something called TensorFlow Lite Micro, which we've modified and created real-time models for. Right now, we recognize simple facial expressions, objects, and environments. So to me, as a creator of interactive content or games in general, the idea that I could use, the character's own face as a form of input the player's own face as a form of input, or something in their world, like, or their environment as a form of input during a game in real time at 60 frames per second is incredibly compelling. So we're now at the point where, as a company, we've finally reached a stage where we want to share our technology with others. So if you head over to artie.com/developers, we have a private beta that we're launching today. And we're looking for, people of game developers of all sizes, from indie to, AAA, who want to experiment with our technology. So we're currently accepting signups, and we're going to start making access available about a month from now. So thank you very much for listening to me ramble a little bit. I really hope you enjoy using our technology. I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone makes. And now I will take some questions.
Hey, Armando, thank you very much for joining us today. And something I'm personally massively passionate about, being games and the blend of technologies that come from the back of games, and audio obviously being a big part of that. I guess, and I believe many people here would love to know, what inspired you to start the journey?
Well, I used to work in virtual reality, and I was at a big VR company when that was a popular thing to do. And it always felt like you couldn't quite interact with, this amazing virtual world. You were in this world, but you were mute. Your body was there, but your voice was not there. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we received some funding from Google to try and make VR more immersive by adding speech recognition. And when we did that, we realized that the solutions at the time were really terrible. So we decided to start a company, and we went from VR to AR to mobile games, trying to support more and more types of creators.
Yeah, and I guess, from my own personal perspective too, and looking deeper into that, whether we were talking about games and as you say, VR, AR, and particularly simulation across, somebody that may seek advice in VR from a medical perspective with that audio effectively fitting in that way. Would they be sort of boundaries that you've explored or on the horizons?
We looked briefly at the enterprise space, which is a popular thing to do these days, with
Sure.
some startups trying to find revenue. But we decided to focus on gaming, and particularly on mobile gaming, because that's such a large market.
Sure.
So we feel like, if we're able to offer a compelling voice-powered mobile gaming experience, unlike VR or even AR, there are a lot of players out there. And so it makes more sense for us to go after this larger consumer market than just like an enterprise play. That's the plan for
Absolutely.
right now, anyway.
and honestly, a very exciting prospect. And I think even crossing that bridge from mobile games to indie games, or even as far as AAA games, the way that a story within a game is now taking kind of an AI gameplay narrative with potentially your technology controlling that story with the audio tech is a really, really huge potential and an exciting one. I did actually watch your AWE talk from last year, and you potentially hinted at, and I guess can't give us more regarding potential big characters or people that you may have been exploring or working with before. Would there be any insight you can give us to that? Because obviously tremendously exciting prospect to be working with those types of studios or those types of characters.
We have been in development on a very large project with one of the world's leading superhero companies. So that's very exciting. And there are other great projects in the mix as well. So these types of efforts take a long time. There are a lot of stakeholders involved, and obviously with a character of that caliber, they're very cautious. But it's been pretty cool to see it come to life internally, and it will be released soon. Yeah.
And as a huge fan, being able to interact in that way is an extremely exciting prospect. So, I very much look forward to following the journey. A question from the attendees and the audience. So, Black Mirror AR, is that a real experience?
We actually made a version of, there's this Black Mirror episode where Miley Cyrus has a Ashley 2, it's called, a little robot, and we made an AR version of that to show off our technology. We sent it to Netflix, and I'll let you guys know what we hear back.
Amazing. Armando, honestly, it's been a pleasure to have you, and I wish we could roll on the questions for hours to come, but I think we're swiftly into the next chat. So again, thank you so much for your time, and it's been a real pleasure to have you here. Again, massively for me, with a huge personal passion for the gaming space. So thank you so much.
Sure. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.